Hi everyone, it's Brittany. Welcome to another Q&A membership video. So I can't remember what number this is, but that's fine. I have a ton of questions to get through today, so I'm just gonna jump right in. As always, I will be reading from my laptop right here, so that's what I'm looking at. All right, let's just get right into it. Okay. I want to ask if time feels different as you identify as I am. Not only does it seem that the months just fly by, but also I'm not bothered by time at all. It feels irrelevant to me. Yeah. Time does feel different when you're more in resting as I am, because you're not living as the one who is constantly checking, you're not constantly checking the clock and comparing the past or the future and where you currently are. So life does still move, of course. The days still pass by, but the identity of a me who's running out of time is no longer at the center. So that's why it does feel kind of fast or light or, like you said, irrelevant. Time didn't go away. It's just that the one who is stressed about it is not the one that's, in charge of the story, so to speak. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's completely normal. Okay. Next question. According to this approach, which you talked about in your last videos, how would you handle a serious illness, whether it's your own or a loved one's? How would you express your desire for healing? Okay. And what would you do with the worries and fears that inevitably come up in such cases? Okay, so with serious illness, yours or someone else's, nothing that I'm speaking about or have talked about in my videos is an approach to fix anything. It's just the truth of what you are, even in the middle of something heavy like that. So you still take care of the human things that need to be taken care of. Doctors, medicine, treatments, support, whatever. You let all of that stuff happen. But at the same time, you keep noticing the symptoms, the fear, the grief, hope, anger, all of that shows up to you. It's not who you are. The desire for healing is already the story shifting. You don't need to, get rid of fear or do awareness right. That's just the character. Fear is really the character's nervous system reacting. You can feel it, you notice it, but you don't build an identity around it. Same thing with a loved one. Of course, you can feel scared and you can want them to be healthy and still know that all of this is appearing in you. It doesn't define you. From there, things move naturally. Sometimes it looks very, that would have happened anyway. But sometimes it's actually quite quick and miraculous. So yeah. Okay, next question. I would love to know how you live as the source every day and how you raise your children. How do you pass on what you know to them? Yay, I love this question. Living as the source for me, actually, it looks pretty normal, I think. I still experience emotions, still do things like do the dishes, do stuff with the kids for school. Really, the main difference is that I just don't turn every emotion or reaction into, oh my God, this is who I am. There's really just more space around everything. So with my kids, I actually don't teach them non-duality, the law, or awareness stuff. I really like to keep it very simple. So what I do is I let them know that they're safe to be who they are. I don't make their mistakes mean something about their worth, and I don't project my own fears onto them, from the character storyline. They really just learn by seeing how I move through life. I allow myself to feel things. I move through when things need to be taken care of, so to speak, but I don't know. I don't stay like hooked on drama or identity. And honestly, it's clear to me that they are all thriving just by seeing the way that I live. So yeah, that's how I do it. Thanks for asking. Next question. In your recent videos, you say we shouldn't wait for change or have the desire to prove that I am the source, okay? But in the client story about the 80K, the person did want to prove that he could attract money. Oh, okay. And in the myths about time story, the client specifically wanted to change her story. Okay, I don't remember that one. I'm sorry. So do we need to let go of expectations and the desire for proof? Okay. So no, you don't have to stop wanting proof or pretend like you don't care. You don't have to do that. The real shift is seeing who it is that wants the proof. So that client with the 80K, yeah, he wanted money for a long time, but that wanting was coming from fear and pressure. That's why it never worked. But when he finally saw that the desperate one wasn't actually him, that grip loosened. So the desire stayed there, but the panic fell away. And that is exactly when things moved. So, no, you don't need to get rid of wanting things or wanting to see it, you know? You just need to stop being identified with the character that's clinging to those things for validation or to be okay. Then the desire feels completely natural instead of desperate, and it appears. Okay? Okay, next question. Could you elaborate? Okay. All right. Hold on, guys. This is a long question. I'm going to fully read it, but I'm going to have to do something moving forward because I can't just read several paragraphs at a time. Okay. Could you elaborate on the following expressions with some concrete examples? I hear you say them a lot, but find it contradicting. I am reality. What does reality refer to here? Identity is reality. Identity equals character, right? No, we'll talk about that. You teach to drop all identities. How come the character is reality? Reality is a mirror. If I am everything, including the 3D, why is reality a mirror or unreal? Isn't it me also? What is intellect? What does complete character drop entail in scenarios where the engagement of human intellect is highly required, like solving math, doing exams, etc.? Those situations aren't effortless, okay? As if awareness has it all covered without doing or without any doing from the character's mind, okay? Let's see. I feel, oh, okay. You say there's no right or wrong choices. Do you mean as human life is an illusion, nothing matters anyway? Or as the human cannot choose anything wrong because the source calls all the big shots and makes sure nothing horrible ever happens? I feel like your teaching now is very similar to Eckhart Tolle's school of teaching. I could be wrong though. What are the main differences? Okay, between yours and his. Okay, so let me go back up and break these down. 1 second here, guys. Okay. Let me see. Okay. I am reality just means everything that you experience, the body, the thoughts, the emotions, the world is appearing within you, awareness. So reality in this context is simply your experienced world, not a separate thing. Now, identity is reality means the identity that you're living from shapes how that world shows up. So if you're identified as the character, life looks like that. It looks like the scared, limited self. If you are identified as I am, the whole reality changes. So reality is a mirror. That doesn't mean that it's not you. Everything is you because everything appears within you. It just means that 3D reflects the character's identification. Now, it's not like the truth. It's not the actual truth. It's just the experience if you're going to be identified with a character. Now, with intellect, it's just the character's thinking. It's the way that, we use logic and solving problems and planning. That doesn't go away, okay? We're not going to stop using intellect. You can drop identification and still write a thesis paper, pass exams. You can be a lawyer for all I care. And in fact, it's usually a lot clearer and less pressure because it's not tied to, oh my God, if I fail, I'm not good enough. I'm a failure. You know, there's no right or wrong choices. And when I say that, no right or wrong choices does not mean that nothing matters or nothing painful will ever happen. It really just means that there's no choice that can throw you out of what you are. The character isn't operating under pressure when you're identified with I am. So you can still make careful, grounded decisions, but it's just without the feeling that one wrong move is going to ruin your life. And what was the last thing? Oh, Toll. So with Eckhart Tolle, he leans more into practices like presence, quieting the mind, softening the ego. What I'm talking about is pointing a little bit more directly. So the one that's trying to be present and the one that's trying to fix the ego is also a part of the illusion. So yeah, some words and some things might kind of overlap, but we're kind of pointing to different things. Okay. If everything is now, but I have a past and a present where financially I have always struggled, should I just choose differently? I have found myself remembering the past a lot on how much of a struggle it's always been. I'm tired of being dragged through it. Okay. So your financial past only feels like a cage because the mind keeps dragging it into the present and using it as some sort of prediction. So you don't have to pretend that it didn't happen. You just stop using it as your lens. Choosing differently isn't about forcing techniques. It's actually seeing that struggling version isn't who I am anymore. And not checking the past to see if you're allowed to be different, not using the past as some sort of gauge for what's allowed or possible now. So when you stop living as the one who always struggles, money starts moving differently on its own. And this doesn't mean you have to control those thoughts or feelings. You allow them, you notice them, and you see that they're not yours. Okay? All right, next question. How are we managing circumstances that are permanent? Having kids, you can't just go and manifest yourself away with another person. When you want to keep the family unit for the kids and them to have their dad. Time is not an illusion in this case, as the kids will grow up eventually, but have to wait for 8 years at least to have what I would like to have in 3D. Okay. How will this be possible with this linear time? Okay. Hope you understand my issue here. Thanks for answering. Yes, I do understand it. And here's the thing. Kids, marriage, co-parenting, those are real character responsibilities in the storyline. So wanting to keep the family unit and wanting real love are both valid desires. The tension comes from the character thinking that it has to figure it out and pick one that makes sense. But from I am, you don't have to figure any of this stuff out. You don't have to literally blow up everything in your life or wait 8 years, you know. You don't have to do any of that. You let the desire be there. You honor your children and you let life show you a path that holds both a lot more clearly than your mind could ever figure out or plan. So the waiting, it's the character. That's her perspective. But from awareness, things can move in ways and timing that makes sense for everyone without you sacrificing yourself or your family. So really trying to figure out the how, you'll never understand it. So this is where that confusion and that pressure and worry is coming from, but it's completely irrelevant to who you really are. Okay. I have been body shamed for years, and before I was body shamed, I had no aversion about my body. Is it possible to go back to that free mindset about food and be free again? Yeah. I am also experiencing health issues, and I was on medications that made me gain weight, and that's where it all started. Now I'm always working out and watching what I eat, and I'm still overweight. Okay. I saw your video and you said you eat freely and still remain slim. How would I go about this happening for myself? Okay. Also, is aging, poor health, and death a belief or construct? Okay. So, yes, let's talk about this. I'm sorry. I need to go back here. Okay. So, yes, you can absolutely get back to a free relationship with food in your body because you actually never left. That pressure and strain you feel now, it's not coming from the body itself. It's actually coming from the identity that's formed around shame, the comments from people, weight gain, health fears, and control. That wasn't your original way of being, as you said. It's just who the character has learned to be to feel safe fitting into that identity. That old ease with eating and your body is not gone. It's just being masked by that fearful version of a character. So when you stop identifying with that, everything softens. Food, exercise, medication, weight, symptoms, whatever. You don't have to perfectly assume that medicine can't affect you. You just start by seeing, okay, all of this fear and micromanaging belongs to the character. It's not me. That's exactly how my own health shifts happened, not by forcing myself to think certain things, but by not taking that sick, scared identity as who I was. And yes, your question about aging and illness and death, yeah, they're part of the character's experience. You don't have to deny those things. You just don't build your sense of self or identity around them. Okay? All right, next question. Do we have to sit with our emotions or process our emotions? What is the difference between being the observer and processing our emotions? Because I thought they were the same thing. Some coaches say we have to heal our emotions and our traumas. I am someone that has a lot of trauma around experiencing racism, a very bad childhood, EDs, and other things I don't want to say to trigger anyone. I also developed OCD. How would I go about leaving the character behind? Sometimes feelings and thoughts are so intense. Okay. You don't have to go into this place of like hardcore processing emotions to be able to move on from the past. Processing the emotions is the character, and it's just the character trying to fix or heal itself. And observing is simply noticing that, okay, here's a wave of emotion appearing within me, or a memory, or a trigger, whatever, and I'm the one aware of it. The trauma, the OCD, racism, ED, all of that absolutely shaped the character. And it's valid. And I know it's a lot, but none of that ever touched what you are. Leaving the character behind doesn't mean you're erasing her or her story or pretending that it was okay. It really just means that you're no longer saying, this is who I am. So when intense feelings show up, you don't have to heal them one by one. You can let all of them be there and still know this is moving through the body or the mind. I'm not the one that's drowning in that. Over time, that's actually what reorganizes everything, the nervous system and the identity. Okay? Okay. Can you please talk about how to stop identifying as the body and rest as pure awareness? I'm experiencing confusion with knowing I'm not the body, but still wanting to lose weight and look better. Okay, I totally understand. But you can want to look different and still know that you're not the body. Wanting changes doesn't mean that you suddenly are the body. Identification is when your value, your sense of self and safety rise and fall depending on how you look. So resting as awareness is just seeing the body is being experienced. It isn't actually me. From there, choosing a version of the character whose body looks or feels different is actually totally natural. The body is a part of the story, and stories change. You don't stop identifying with the body by rejecting it or pretending not to care. You stop by seeing that you're the one that never changes. Okay. I've heard that I am is complete and perfect, but it feels to me more like spacious and empty instead of full or complete. Would you talk about it? Yes, and I know a lot of you guys have felt this way. So at first, I am often does feel blank or empty or like, okay, this is nothing. That's totally normal. The mind actually only understands sensations and stories. So when you rest as something that isn't either one of those things, it tries to interpret it and it thinks it's empty or even like nothing or flat. But over time, as identification loosens, that same space starts to feel different. It starts feeling stable and warm and full and complete. And the I am didn't change. Your relationship to it did. So if it feels empty right now, that doesn't mean you're missing something. It really just means that the character hasn't learned yet how to read what it's experiencing. Okay? All right. I've been desiring moving away from the city I currently live in, but I'm doubting where to move. I might look for jobs from a certain city or country that I feel pulled to for a while, and then start to feel pulled to a whole different area. Okay. This has been going on a few years already. I've been surrendering many times before, thinking I'll be guided to an opportunity that is best for me, but nothing has shifted. How would you handle a situation where you desire a change but don't know exactly what you want? Okay, so the desire to move is obviously very clear. It's just the where that's feeling confusing because the mind wants to pick the exact right spot and make sure that it knows what it's going to be experiencing or choosing. But you don't need the full picture. You can let yourself want a new environment and stop treating every little pull or wave of doubt as a sign that you're stuck. So follow the pull in small ways. Do things like research, visit places, have conversations with other people about things, but doing it without turning it into like a test. When the place is relevant, it will feel simple and obvious, not like you have to figure it out or you're guessing. You know what I mean? Okay. I wanted to ask about identifying as source, but still having to put up with the character and her problems on a daily basis. Why won't the character fade away once and for all and leave me alone? Okay, so the character itself doesn't go away. Okay, guys? It's the heavy identity around the character that dissolves. So you're still going to wake up in a body with whatever it is that's currently going on, your job, your children, your spouse, whatever. But the difference is that it's no longer going to feel like a burden, okay? It's not going to feel like, this is all happening to me. All of these layers of like, I'm the one with the problems, with the past, the trauma, the patterns, I'm stuck, I have responsibility. That's what fades away. So then once that does, the character is really just like a neutral avatar or vehicle moving through life for you. Her problems don't feel personal and they don't feel like problems. And then from there, that's when things naturally shift on their own, of course. Okay, next question. Sorry, guys. How do I stop identifying with thoughts that arise that are not aligned with our desires? Is it okay to not feel the feeling of having it when we declare that we have our stuff? Yeah, none of that is a problem. You don't stop identifying with thoughts by chasing only aligned thoughts. That is going to keep you stuck in managing, and that's all character. So when a thought pops up that doesn't match what you want, you can simply just notice, okay, that's the mind talking to the character. You don't have to feel anything special when you declare a desire either. Feeling it real is often just more character pressure. So choosing from I am isn't about forcing an emotion. It's just a clear inner yes to a version of the story, and then letting everything else, like the thoughts and the feelings and the 3D, rearrange on their own around that. That's it. None of that stuff that you learned in LOA really matters. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You don't need to manage thoughts, feelings, emotions, any of it. You just allow it all to be while noticing that it doesn't belong to you. Okay. Next question. And this is a, let's see, several part question. I didn't break it up before, guys. I'm sorry. I did this on my own, and yeah, I didn't edit anything before. So I'm just going to read it as it is. Oops. Okay. Dropping the character and having it all by being the faceless, formless source God. But isn't that SP will be in love with this very specific character? Okay. Also, in desiring physical appearance changes, how come it's even a thing if I am the formless, faceless, not the character, and the character's not real? Okay. I feel bored in daily life. I know you answered this before, but I need more. I'm going to the gym and walk every day, which I enjoy. I watch movies and videos, which I love to do, but still the rest of the day feels very long and meaningless. Okay. I know exactly how I created my SP to be engaged to someone else, and it was just a fleeting thought. But when I realized that and followed one of your client's stories who told herself, no, it's not me, this didn't happen to me, after a couple months, SP got married. What did I miss here? Okay. All right. So let's go back and talk about all of this. So about your SP, once awareness plays a character, that character is part of the story. So your SP's love shows up through the specific form, the character, but not because of it. So you're not like begging somebody to love this version of me. You're choosing the version of the story where this particular character is already loved. Same exact thing with appearance changes. You're not the body, but the body is still a part of the storyline, the experience, the dream, whatever you want to call it. So shifts in looks show up just like shifts in money or relationships. The story reorganizes around the version that you've aligned with. Now, the boredom. The boredom is just the mind in an unfamiliar place, kind of like I mentioned earlier. The old identity is losing power, and the new expression hasn't fully formed yet. So days can sort of feel long or pointless. Nothing's wrong, though. Just keep living, doing the small things that you do enjoy, and allow the new story to fill itself in, okay? And then the fleeting thought about SP getting engaged, no. One scared thought did not create an engagement. What actually happened was probably weeks or months of inner bracing, checking, correcting, spiraling. And even if none of that happened, it's still about the identity behind that, not the one thought. That doesn't have weight on its own. And also, the client who said, that didn't happen to me, she didn't just say it. She truly saw that scared version of her actually was never her. So she noticed, she recognized as the awareness that that was not who she was. That's what shifts things. So if your SP got engaged or married, that was the old story playing itself out. And it's not a punishment, and it's also not final. So you didn't do anything wrong, and there's no problems. Okay, next question. I've been observing chronic nerve and vascular pain as the I am many times a day for short increments. I have a mind-body coach who teaches how and why trauma can turn into the so-called mystery illnesses. Her allowing as the I am practice coincides with much of what you share. Okay, cool. This process and understanding has slowly signified safety and a discharge of old emotions that became the illness. Improvement is happening. But objectively speaking, it's taken many months since I began working with her, and years before that when I was just following regular LOA advice. I don't know if that's because the pain has been that extreme, or if I'm falling into the identity of trying to heal my nervous system more than I realize. How can I get to my pain-free self faster? Okay, so first of all, the fact that your pain has changed at all, even if it's slow, that means something. It means that something deeper is already moving. So intense, long-term pain almost always drags the character into survival mode, like the crying and the shaking and the bracing. And what that does is builds a strong identity of I'm the one suffering in this body. So that does sometimes make things feel slow, even when they're not. The only thing that really adds this dragging out at this point now is turning it into a constant project. Like, am I healing fast enough? Am I doing it right? You don't need to push anything. Just keep returning to the simple recognition. This pain is appearing to me. I'm not inside it. Even if that's just a few seconds at a time, that's what actually loosens the identity. So the pain-free version shows up in the usual way. First, very quietly, and then one day you really just realize, oh, it's different now. So yeah, you're not doing anything wrong. Okay. I'm going through waves. I see what I want in my life. Everything is starting to mold to my desires. Then bam, good things that were said reverse. Good things that were said reverse. It feels like such a roller coaster, and I'm tired of saying, no, he didn't say that, he said this. Well, yeah, I would be too. It's feeling like such a lie, just depressing and almost impossible to even convince myself now. I know I am just not coming from the I am yet. Okay, the roller coaster happens when you're trying to constantly micromanage the new story from the character, like telling yourself, no, that didn't happen. Okay, this happened. No, it happened like this. Yeah, that's a lot. And when you're there, every text, every tone, it becomes a sign that it's working or it's not working. So your attention is going all over the place all day, and it feels exhausting and fake, of course. But when you're resting as I am, you don't need the 3D to constantly confirm anything. You're not arguing with what's happening, and you're not trying to fix every other sentence. Things actually settle because you're not grabbing each moment and turning it into some sort of proof or measurement. The story actually can absolutely, on its own, unfold without you needing to manage or micromanage it. Okay? Looking back, I had been manifesting from the state of guilt, shame, fear, while doing my scenes and affirmations, still felt the resistance in my character's body, hence the painful manifestation of the opposite. I can revise everything from the state of not being the character, right? Yes, you can revise, but not by being the character. But here's the other thing. The revision is not about fixing the past. So when you were manifesting from guilt and shame and fear, your body was tight. right? So the outcomes felt harsh and opposite. That's not because you're doomed or because the whole thing came from a really scared identity. Now, from the I am, you don't need to redo all of these scenes. You just see that was never actually me. That was a scared character version acting from pain. Once that's clear, the entire storyline stops being your truth. And it can easily fade away like an old dream instead of something you need to keep carrying around with you. Okay? All right. Lately, I've been very stuck in my head and an effed up imagination for what seems like years now. I'll be good for a while and then it comes back, and it's like without my focus, my brain lives in imagination versus the now moment. How can I just let it go and live my new life without being dependent on time and action? Okay, so your brain running wild in imagination doesn't mean that anything's wrong. That's actually just what an overstimulated mind does. It spins movies constantly. Really, the real trap is thinking that you need to constantly manage it, stop it, or drag yourself back into the now moment. That effort is what is keeping you feeling stuck. You don't have to stop anything that's running around in your imagination. You just have to start to see this is the mind doing what it does. It's not me. Not trying to convince, but actually see that. And when it's seen, the loop, it might keep playing for a little bit, but it's more like noise coming from another room than your whole world. Living your new life doesn't depend on beating time or taking action. It's simply living from the version that you've already chosen and letting your actions come from there instead of coming from fear. So, no need to control anything. Just allow it all while noticing it. Okay. There's a question circling in my mind. If there is no doer, it feels like I'm acting out a script written by I am/God, and everything happens exactly the way it's supposed to, including the things I don't want. That idea makes me feel hopeless. It feels as if no matter what I consciously choose, I still have an absolute destiny and nothing I do can change it. I don't know. Maybe this is just another fear of the character. Yeah, you're right. No doer is only scary when you think it means I'm a powerless puppet in somebody else's script or movie. That's really the character's reading of it. But in truth, it just means that the little me, the character, isn't the one running the show. You, as the I am, are not stuck in a fixed destiny that you're not allowed to change. Your desires and choices are how the story moves. So that hopeless feeling is coming from the idea that you're a tiny human trying to bargain with some external God. You're not. You're the awareness that all of this appears within. So no, you are not subject to some destiny that you have no idea about. Could you talk about when we see others getting what we want and recognizing it to be a part of ourselves too? Yeah. So when someone else gets what you want, it's not life teasing you or proving that you're behind. It's really your own consciousness showing you that this exists here too. There aren't separate bubbles of reality. There's literally one field and many expressions. So when something you want appears in front of you, that's not proof that you've failed or done anything wrong. It's actually a preview of what's available to you in your world. So honestly, you can let it remind you that you have it instead of allowing it to trigger you. Okay. I watched your video about the man who healed chronic back pain several months ago. I've been dealing with chronic vascular and nerve pain that has literally felt like hell. In the mind-body world, what I'm dealing with would be considered more severe or entrenched in the nervous system. I've made some improvements, but the physical burning and gripping sensations still make me cry sometimes. What to do when the character starts doubting she will ever be pain-free again? Okay, so with intense pain, doubt is really just the nervous system trying to protect itself. It's like, oh, if I expect too much, I'm going to be devastated if it doesn't happen. But the doubt doesn't stop anything. You don't have to change those thoughts at all. You just stop taking them as your truth. When doubt comes, you can simply just notice, okay, this is the scared character talking, and I'm the one seeing it. The fact that you've calmed some and grounded even more, and honestly seen any progress at all, tells you that the shift is already happening. The body often feels to kind of lag behind, but doubt is part of the old identity shaking on its way out. It's not a sign that you're doing something wrong or that it's doomed for you, you know? So just continue to allow it and notice where it's appearing. If it's appearing to you, it cannot be yours. It cannot be you. Okay. Could you talk more about the character we desire to play? Let's say, for example, I want to play a character who has a totally different life, skills, etc., settled in place when we drop the old, sorry, I'm not understanding this. Okay, talk about what happens when we drop the old one. I am reading I Am That. Okay, yes, the book that I recommended. And in the book, he says he doesn't see the body and mind as his. To him, it's a body and a mind. That might be why we chose to play a totally different character, since none of them are who we are, right? Yeah, you can absolutely choose a drastically different version of the character you have now. A new life, new skills, completely new story. But here's the thing. Once you see that the body-mind isn't you, it stops feeling fixed. They actually become more like a costume and a script, truly. You're not faking a new self. You're just letting awareness play a different role. So when the old identity drops, the new one doesn't feel forced. And new traits, habits, talents, opportunities, they just start appearing as if they've always belonged to you. Okay. Why is consciousness localized in the mind? What's the purpose? Why consciousness localized in the body and mind with certain parents and background if I was never born? Why'd Rupert Spira say pain is to protect? Is it a warning that something worse so it can survive and live? Okay, no. Can consciousness perceive without the body? Okay, let's go into this. Consciousness only seems to be inside this body and mind. It's not true. That's just how this point of view is experienced, you know? The camera sitting behind one character in a game. It gives a feeling of like, I'm here, even though the whole world is just on one screen. Does that make sense? This body, these parents, the background, that's literally just the setup of the storyline. It's not proof that you are literally born into a person or even a prison that you're trapped in and you're stuck with. So pain protects only from the character's perspective. So if you touch something hot, nerves react. You pull away, right? That's useful on a survival level for the character. But from awareness, pain is still simply just a sensation. Yes, sometimes it's intense, but it's still just appearing and disappearing. It actually doesn't have any big lesson behind it. Different parts hurt more because that's how the biology is wired for this experience, not because awareness needs it to. And absolutely, yes, consciousness can be without a body. It's always been without a body. I mean, sleep already shows that to you. The body is a filter for this particular dream, not a requirement for what you are. Okay. Even when I quietly ask who is aware of this tension, of these thoughts, my mind gives me no answer. Sometimes I wonder if I'm even asking the question properly. The tightness, the heaviness, this compulsive loop of thoughts that just keep repeating, and although I see it happening, nothing actually shifts. Okay, so you're not doing anything wrong with asking who is aware. The mind keeps waiting for an answer or some massive shift. But the fact that you see that loop and the tension, that's already your answer. The question isn't there to miraculously shift something. It's there to show you that the pain, tightness, and obsessive checking are happening to the character. So the nervous system can stay loud for a while, even after that scene. That doesn't mean it's not working. It just means that the body is unraveling at its own pace as it does. You don't need to feel some huge, massive epiphany to be the source. It usually doesn't happen that way, actually. You already are the one noticing the chest tension, the mirror checking, the I'm not enough story. Let the loop run if it wants to. It's not proof of anything. You just stay as the one who sees it. That's the realization, even if it feels like nothing right now. Okay? Stay with that. I want your opinion. How come some desires unfold in a very literal, direct, and instantaneous way to the detail, and other desires seem to meander and unfold indirectly or in more unexpected, spontaneous ways? It's fun either way, though. Yeah, it is fun. Some desires land literally and fast because in that particular area, the character isn't wrapped up in fear or a backstory. Really, there's no inner argument, so things just snap right into place effortlessly. Other desires, they kind of feel like they take a while because there's more story, more memory and emotion surrounding that specific topic. But the shift in you is always instant. It's the outer story that might take like the scenic route, if you will, as it rewrites itself. But really, neither one is right or wrong or better or worse. One feels like a quick jump cut in a movie, and the other one takes a slow, interesting turn, like most movies do, to be honest. And both are just a part of the story. That's really it. There's no, block or delay that is causing it in terms of you, how you are as awareness. It's just that depending on the character, the story is going to appear in a way that makes the most sense for that story. Okay, next question. Let's say I want to be aware of a reality that, for example, has a different political landscape. So the desire comes, I accept that I'm already in that reality, okay? But on a daily basis, I'm still seeing the old politics. We do the same thing we would do with the character's old story, right? It's just a previous story that I was accepting as true, so I just keep letting it play out. I come from LOA, so the temptation to correct, revise, and deny situations is big. Yeah, totally understand that. But this works all the same. So you can choose a different version of reality and still see the old one. That doesn't mean that the new one isn't real. It just means that the old one had a lot of energy and momentum and storyline built around it. You don't need to revise every single thing you see or pretend like nothing's happening. Really, you just stop giving the old story the last say. So let it be what it is. Leftover scenes from a version you're not in anymore. Okay? Okay. My question relates to handling the 3D, yet still living as source in the new story. I'm an only child, partial caretaker for my parents, and circumstances have appeared very difficult for a few years now. I'm single, don't have children or any family to help. So sometimes I want to share with friends just to have some support, but of course doing so emphasizes the unwanted story and identity. Sometimes I turn away and focus on the new, and then something happens to show me that I should have focused more on the old story. Shouldn't have focused more on the old story. Then I feel it's my fault this occurred because I was living in the new. Yeah, I understand it's a 3D trap. What would you recommend? Okay, so first of all, you're allowed to talk about hard things and ask for support. That doesn't pull you out of anything. It doesn't pull you out of I am. What matters is who you're being when you talk. So that helpless, guilty character, or the one who knows this is what's happening and I'm still not this story. That's it. Emergencies with your parents are not punishment for focusing wrong. Bodies age, people get sick, and life happens. So blaming yourself is just another pattern of control that you learned from that community. Really do what needs to be done. Reach out when you need help and stop making yourself the problem. The identity of, I cause bad things if I don't manage everything, is what's really asking to be dropped. So that's it. Do what needs to be done. Allow whatever the character is doing to be done, and notice that you are not that character. That's it. Okay. Whew, I think this is the last question. Yes, it is. Okay. I have 3 friends who are vegan, and we are always together selling our products in the open market. However, we would like to really work as a team and make good money. Problem. I don't even know what question to ask you or how to go about it. Hope you can help. Well, you don't need the perfect question or even a question at all. The desire is very clear to me. You 4 friends want to succeed together and make good money. That's enough. That's enough. You can literally let the story build around that. More customers, better setup, new offers, new locations, collaborations. Those things can all appear without any forcing from you. So talk about what you each enjoy. Stay open to ideas and follow whatever it is that makes you feel good. The how will show up as you go, not at all once in a script written out from start to finish. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much for all of your amazing questions. I hope that you found some clarity in these questions. I know a lot of you will tell me, like, I don't have questions, but when I listen, it really does help me. So that's what I want. I just want to put things into perspective for you guys. And really, ultimately, with all of these questions today, I want to remind you that we are not here to manage or micromanage anything that the character is doing, thinking, feeling, experiencing at all. We are here to simply notice that we are the awareness that this character, their thoughts, their feelings, their experiences, their actions, behaviors, all of it, it's all appearing within you. And if you can notice it, if you're aware of it, it cannot be you. All right, everyone. I love you all so, so much. I hope that you enjoyed this. Please actually, in the comments here, give me some suggestions for what other types of videos you would like to see on the membership side. I love doing these Q&As, but I think at a certain point, you get the message and you don't need all the questions. Again, I'm not going to stop doing the Q&As, but I would like to still post more often on this membership side without feeling like I need to do a Q&A every time. So tell me your suggestions. I'm open to lots of different ideas. So yeah, thank you all so much for being here with me. I love you all so, so much, and I will see you all soon. It's like